Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm not sure what time is it for some of you guys out there, but appreciate you guys all popping in. So it's been, I think, 5 to 6 months since we last spoke. So yeah, super excited to share with you guys some highlights from the previous few months, as well as answer some of the burning questions you guys have been posting on Discord. So we'll begin with a quick note on our active users. So I think the previous time we spoke, we were sitting at around 9K MAU, and I'm super glad to share that we've been able to bring our install base up to 20K monthly active users. That's more than a 2x growth since April. And our DAU is actually on track to hit a healthy rate of 10K if we continue with this trajectory. One of our biggest wins in the past few months was that we launched the game in Japan, which is turning out to be a huge market for us with a very, very promising install base as well as engagement um, metrics. So what you see in the top right there is some of the ads that we've actually been launching across many different channels. Some of our most popular ones, they obviously feature your favorite guardians, a lot of Frosty Frostmire moments, a lot of epic win-lose battle stories that's inspired by real play. We've launched about 100 new creatives now, featuring all of these different characters, and our most popular ads are those that are UGC based that showcase fast combat, RPG action elements, right? So we're really adding really, really good quality and finish in order to attract RPG enthusiasts who are not just into, come and extract, but, come in and actually play the game for the long term. Okay. So just a quick reminder that there are multiple ways to bring your friends along in the journey and get rewarded. We've obviously got our RAF program, and if you bring up to 5 friends, there's so many rewards that you can actually get to redeem. We've also got redeem codes, and in the future, we actually plan to launch a content creator program where you can submit epic combat clips, creative guides, me moments, even a boss takedown, all of which can be featured in our ads or our trailers. And at the same time, you guys get rewarded based on the attribution that it's getting as well. So stay tuned for that. Quick update on our engagement metrics. So we've seen our retention numbers increase to actually an all-time high. We've hit a day one of about 40 to 52%. It's about 5 to 10 percentage points higher than the last 3 months. So you can see that upscale trajectory both on Android as well as on iOS. Our day 14 stands at about 15 to 20%, and that brings our day 30 to about 7 to 10%, which is the highest that we've seen the game at. So it's a 4 percentage point uplift at certain points in the last few weeks on competitive event weeks. We've seen our day 30 peak to about 16%, specifically on Android. So I think this is due to a couple of things that we've added in game. We reached an all-time high with our retention numbers once we added battle modifiers, of course, the new cosmetic and guardian events. Gauntlet mode especially hit double session times, and we have more players hitting milestone logins and joining events together. But we obviously have a lot more to do, and we want to be able to further increase our first 14-day experience and at the same time deliver more engaging content and variety for our advanced players in the next few months, right? So what you guys can expect to see in the next few months is number one, even more live events and battle modifiers. So you can expect like a steady stream of new event types, personalized challenges, rotating battle modifiers, narrative-driven challenges. That's all drafted to keep you guys discovering and returning. And at the same time, we also are going to tailor more progression and onboarding to make it easier for our newcomers to hit milestones and for returning players to jump straight into the fun. look out for, smart guides, better rewards, surprise events, right? And at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, we want to expand content for our advanced players. So that means we are actually working on a new challenging mode right now, a meta game for all of our advanced players, and some new progression tiers and guardian progression levers, right? So we are listening. We look at Discord every day. We look at all of the event feedback. We look at suggestions that is being sent by you guys, community submissions, and that really shapes um, our cycle every 3 to 4 months. I wanted to do a quick recap of the past few months since our last town hall, and share with you guys um, a recap of what we've done so far and our progress over the last quarter, and also set expectations for what's around the corner. So, number one, shaking up the meta and Guardian utility has been a central win for us. We introduced banner modifiers across core and event content. And these weren't just difficulty tweaks. Since late April, we have run over about 11 different gameplay modifiers in our game modes. And the intention was to make underutilized Guardians meta and turn every moment into like a fresh tactical challenge. We're already seeing players branch out from just using the top five, experimenting, reinvesting in their old favorites. And we started that journey with that intent to discover and test meta evolving gameplay mechanics. And we've had several successes on that front, right? From the push or pull modifiers that made battlefield positioning critical to success, to rewarding founders, holders for not only their hold, but their investment into progression as well. We've learned quite a few things. Moving forward, you can expect to see us bring back your favorites and evolve upon them further as we aim to push the boundaries of what can truly redefine combat with GOG. The next big thing that we worked on systems and progression, we worked on a full economy rebalance. We are sort of like 30 or 40% there into the full delivery of it. The goal here is to have a smoother resource flow and fairer progression, especially for our new and mid-game players. So this is paired with ongoing work on a new progression layer that we are actually working on called Plus Skills, which we'll be sharing in detail later on in the town hall. And this will let you specialize and differentiate your guardians even further. On content, you see Pets V2 up there. The design is more or less locked, and we're just ironing out the final details before we actually move into execution at some point in this cycle. It is definitely high up there in our priority list. I think what you guys can expect is deeper pet combat, more progression hooks, strategic synergy with your teams as well. Guild asset rentals. That's another big engagement lever, and we have version one of this coming very soon in the next few weeks. So this will allow all players to share guardians across the ecosystem, fostering more collaboration and helping newer or returning players access powerful teams. As you guys can see, there are some features up here that are still in early exploration phase. For example, the new game mode is still under design review. Our install growth is trending up, but before we allocate on something so core, we are taking extra time to make sure that it fits with our current audience and our future vision. The same careful process is also being applied to our new player guided path. That's a feature that's aimed at helping newcomers achieve D7 and Day 14 milestones with confidence and clarity. And so we want to do that with a couple of growth events specifically catered for them. And if we look at the onboarding and QRL track, we've delivered new tooltips, we've delivered improvements to the adventure path, its difficulty, and its pacing. The early game feels more intuitive now, while the advanced content is getting more challenging with some progression tweaks. As always, we are monitoring for pain points to smooth out the entire experience. So the features that we have shipping soon are designed to make progression a lot more rewarding, foster more collection, diversity, strengthen guild and community bonds. Your feedback on these features, especially the battle modifiers, pets v2, all of that will help steer what's being prioritized next. We can't wait to see the new strategies and teams that you come up with in the months ahead. I do want to thank you all for being a part of the journey so far and sharing all of your thoughts so verbosely in our Discord channels. And with that, we aim to make each month better than the last. With that, I'll pass on to Josiah and actually the rest of the team, who will share a lot more about what you can expect to see in the game over the next few months.
Let's do it. All right, looking ahead. One more. All right, so funny looking ahead, but then let's immediately look back at unfinished business. So there's a couple of things that are still in progress and things that are always going to be in progress. Uh, so I wanted to call out a couple of these things here, and Priya already touched on the pets in combat thing, but pets in combat continues to be like a very high priority. We're also continuing to look forward on how to rebalance the guild economics, guild progression, making sure that perhaps we go back and add some new levels to guild progression as well, and figuring out what like the perks of that might be along the same way. We're also looking at new adventure world content. That's actually further along than I think you would expect it to be, which is really good. So we might be seeing some really quick action on that front. And then we're also looking back at, because you guys have been mentioning for a very long time, like, hey, when are you going to take a look at the shop offerings and all the content that's in the shops with game shops and stuff like that? And we're also going back and taking a look at that stuff as well. So those are kind of like our unfinished business top tier segments that I wanted to call out. Next. And then looking ahead, coming with some of our big things coming down the pipeline here. We're focusing on the following. So class skills up at the top there. So I'll talk about this more in detail in some of our later slides, but we're looking at adding a class progression mechanic and adding new passive skills that are based on specific classes. You've heard me perhaps mention this in some of our arena feedback channels as well, but we're also looking into GVG. And right now, the current design that is spec'd out but not finally approved is like up to 4 guilds are battling over territory to control, and we're looking at that right now. We have 15 versus 15 tournaments. You're seeing the example of our first test of that this week. We're gathering all the feedback you guys give, what you like, what you don't like about it, but we're looking to turn this into something that essentially is the competitive events for this mode will eventually become player run rather than us saying like it's 15 versus 15 week and then you just play. So we're digging into that as well. The short-term events, we mentioned it earlier, but we're looking to like add more events and content and goals and rewards and stuff to scatter around through our seasons. We move into the seasonal structure for live ops. So we want to create more content. It's not just Vargos battle modifier for 4 weeks straight. Like, we're gonna we're gonna figure out some ways to sprinkle in some more variety. Arena emotes, another thing that you guys have been asking for a while. Everybody wants to see, or you want to make sure that when somebody's fighting your defensive team, and you whoop them, that they make sure you give them the laugh emoji and you spam it as many times as possible. So we're looking into that as well. Guardian rarity upgrading, another huge topic that we've been talking about for a very, very long time. We know that, we'll talk about more in detail later as well, but we know that, of Guardians, they lose their play competence base utility uh, the further you progress in the game. And that sucks because some of those Guardians are really cool. So we're going to be looking into perhaps letting those Guardians increase their rarity over time. And there's a couple other games you can check out that do this, and we're using those as inspirations. So yeah, share your thoughts if you have ideas on what you would like and what you would not like to see on that front as we move forward this cycle. And finally,
You're breaking up a little bit, Josiah. Just
all
a
right,
little.
all right. And then finally, the energy booster evolutions. We're going to be looking into how those can be diversified essentially, and turn them into something that has more utility and has more diverse utility depending on where you are in your progression cycle, perhaps. So keep an eye on that out on that as well. All right, so those are the focus areas. Let's dive into some specifics. Next, please. All right, when T8. Everybody asks. Yeah, I hear about it every day. So I posted some of the stuff already in our combat stat rebalance feedback channel. But if you haven't seen it, this is kind of like a summary plus a tiny bit more new information, I believe. Uh, so general changes wise, meaning these will affect more than just T8 gear. We're looking at changing how stats are visualized on gear. I believe right now, uh, uh, there's like a bunch of percent-based numbers, and working with our partner in China, MindLoader, we're looking at changing the way, like standardizing how all these stats are displayed against all the different stat types, so it's always the same number that you're looking at, essentially type of number. Uh, and we're looking at changing that into like a flat value, I believe. But yeah, you'll know more as we flesh that out. And then also diminishing returns. Talked about this as well in detail in the feedback channel. But there have been and there continues to be a couple of stat types in the game that are just straight up broken. Like you can spec your guardians in specific ways that they're either invincible or they one shot or like they just break a lot of the mechanics. And while that's cool, it's that level of customization being capable. Like we think that it just makes our jobs a whole lot harder to create balanced content for you guys. So there's like that of like how do we maintain that level of customization so that you can express like your creativity through your gear customization, but also make it so that uh, you're not also upset that everything is super easy and nothing's challenging. So we're going to be looking digging deeper into that as well. T8, legendary and mythic. Mythic is a new rarity tier. There's some examples here of like what is the difference is going to be, but you have to craft mythic with a new Web3 resource that we will be talking about later. It's a new rarity tier, and the new mythic rarity tier has new stat types that can only be found on. And then kind of like the last big change here is that all the gear, well, for T8 first anyway, is no longer going to be int agility strength. We're going to move towards class specific gear. So when you craft your T8 gear, you will choose which class you would like that gear to be, associated with. And you can change that later if you wish, but that's to help clear up kind of like a lot of legacy issues that we have, where like Morax, for example, uses intelligence gear, but he's a tank. Like it'll fix things like that, but it'll also give you more control over like how you build your gear for like very specific scenarios as well. We're trying to expand that customization and strategic depth as well. And yeah, August 13th is when we're thinking about doing this. Least impactful week when we look at our calendar and are looking at competitive events that are coming up and content drops, but it's all dependent on how testing goes. Next slide, please. All right, APOC.
Right. So, asset rentals. Have briefly touched on this here and there, and I've mentioned to folks in passing as well that we're working on this. It's very, very close at this point, looking at a release in less than 2 weeks. Um, Naturally, with this sort of thing, once it's live, we'll be taking into account your guys' feedback and how things work and what does work and what doesn't about it. So, just because it's released in a certain way, don't feel like you're stuck having to use it in the way it is. Give us feedback, and if there's things that just end up not making sense and work differently than we envisioned, always happy to make adjustments. So just a quick run through. There's some screenshots. The UI has since been updated, but this still gives you a really good idea of kind of what it looks and feels like, what sort of stuff you'll be able to do. It's pretty standard, kind of what you'd expect as far as capabilities. You can put Guardians up for rent. Players can rent stuff from you. You can do that with either rubies or ascension seals. There's going to be a popularity list so that you understand what Guardians are popular what week and share that share those or set those guardians for rent accordingly. Afterwards, you can also specify just for whether you want these guardians to be available publicly or if you just want to more easily facilitate sharing guardians within your guild. So that's kind of the gist of it. Like I mentioned, we're very close, so you guys will get your hands on this pretty soon, and we can kind of go from there. Next slide. Let's see. All right, Josiah, did you want to take class skills?
All right, let's do it. So this is what I mentioned earlier, class skills. So we knew, or hearing is probably a better way to say that, there's like certain classes in the game that just don't behave like you would expect them to. Like tanks sometimes don't draw the attention of the enemies, or they die almost immediately, or assassins can barely kill a single person before they just get wiped off the face of the earth. Like it's just it's scattered, uh, and we really want to fix that. So rather than spending a lot of time going back and like swapping out entire skills on individual guardians, we thought it would be easier and more interesting to create a class progression system. So kind of like right now, we're looking at is a progression system where like you level up your classes, and the higher level that class is, the more passive skills it unlocks. And these passive skills are being specifically tailored to address some of the problems that we have with classes. So a good example here might be that like this is all subject to testing with our partners and internally to see if these actually are broken. But like a good example might be that if you level up your tank class to level 1, the very first ability upgrade for all tanks that you choose to within the system is that the combatants have X seconds on the field, and they maintain that taunt for Y seconds. Like just straight up fixing things like that. Yeah. So I guess the final thing here is the seasonal aspect bottom point down here at the bottom. We want the system to not be something that like you level up your tanks and then you're done and the tanks are forever done. We would like the ability to keep the tanks interesting. So we're looking at evolved versions of these classes and evolved versions of these skills. So maybe like every season or so, we introduce like this month there'll be a new evolved version of an assassin, and then you can evolve that assassin into whatever that seasonal version is, and then assassins play a little differently that season. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. Pretty locked in design wise. Go back.
Yep. All right. So for Guardian Rarity, this is something that folks have been discussing for quite a while, and we definitely agree with you guys. It's not necessarily the most fun thing to be working on building rares and epics when you first start out, and then realizing as you progress that they're simply outclassed by legendary guardians. Especially since you might get attached to some of those guardians or just like the designs or how they work, but realize that they're just completely unviable. So we'd really like to fix that. There's going to be a variety of ways that we try and address this. Obviously, stat growth rates and stat caps, alignment levels, all that fun stuff is one of the core parts of it. The amount of changes required to address the skill disparity obviously is very high. So at least the first version won't really touch on those. But basically just allowing for a path to keep those different rarity guardians relevant, I think is important. And we'll be taking a pretty good look at that. And you guys should see some results, in the pretty near term on this one. Next slide.
All right. Okay, so looking at some new depth and variety examples. So new enemies and bosses this cycle. So we've already started this within the last month, actually, all the new creative work. But we're looking at perhaps new versions of Boss Rush, and by versions I mean boss encounters. So like new bosses within Boss Rush, new bosses within Guild Boss, new lead encounters perhaps. So we're just expanding that domain as well. I talked about the 50. New achievements. I'll talk more about that in the Q&A section as well, but you can expect that it's like whenever new features come down the line, or we see that you guys have like finished an achievement path, then you know it's fairly insignificant on our end to just add. So pretty easy to do. So you can expect to see those come creep in every now and then. I talked about the new adventure world. We have kind of like a new game mode that we are experimenting with that's in development. That's basically like time trial mode. And we're in the process of testing it now. It'll probably undergo some more major iterations, so I don't want to speak too much about it, but yeah, time trial is a good way to. All right, hey, Bach.
All right. So guild features. As Josiah mentioned earlier, GVG is still something that we're working on. And while it's near the end of the design phase, we're still not quite locked in. So there's still some variations. So I'm going to share a little bit more details, but it'll still be fairly high level just on some things that we're sure that will be present in the final version. Naturally, it's going to be a great mode for you guys to be working with your guildmates by design, as opposed to not by design, like what's happening in Arena currently. Um, so there's going to be a good amount of strategy both in the combat level and on the like map mode level um, that will require coordination. Well, that will benefit from coordination, right? Because not all guilds are going to be able to execute that level, and we still want them to have a chance. But obviously, coordination is going to be a very important component and should be something that guilds strive to achieve through gameplay. So there is going to be an aspect around that. Various interesting things like what sections or what portions of the map you control will have different effects that either contribute to you know how combat goes for your team, benefits, downsides, that sort of thing. And then, of course, as we continue to expand the game, allowing for players to benefit from having more than 5 guardians that they've worked to build up is important. And so we'll have more than 5 guardians that matter. Um, Moving a little bit forward, guild progression as well. Josiah had mentioned both guild progression and economic rebalance a little bit, so a little bit more detail on that in the form of what the problems the team perceives there to be. Basically, larger guilds basically have capped out on what they can do. You guys have kind of completed everything that there is to do. So obviously, we'd like to give you a little bit more there to work towards, which is always fun. And then smaller guilds, at least maybe new and medium-sized smaller guilds are they're struggling to keep up. Obviously, the player count disparity is very large, and while large guilds should absolutely retain some advantage, there's probably a happy compromise there that can ensure that small guilds are able to compete to a better degree, so that it's a healthier competitive environment, right? Like it's stomping folks is fun to a certain degree, but if it's not even a challenge, then that gets boring quick, and it also gets old for for everybody below you. So trying to close the gap there a little bit, I think, is the goal here. There's a variety of ways that we can do that I think will still feel like it's beneficial to be a large guild owner, but it's a lot more equal feeling as opposed to just being flat out identical, which, as we all know, doesn't necessarily mean equal. So yeah, that's the gist of it. Next slide.
All right, new player improvements. So, kind of building off the back of what we were saying earlier, with there being like a 200% increase in MAU over the last couple of months that we have to do. We've been getting a lot of feedback from these new players about what they like, what they don't like about the new player experience. So we've identified quite a few areas where we can improve. So we have like our list of Fatulia improvements and tutorial improvements so that we close as many of these gaps as possible. We really want to get these people from being new players into like solid like veteran players as smoothly as possible. And we think one of the best ways that we can probably achieve that is with a better version of kind of like the day 7, day 14 journey. Like we see these in other games as well, where it's like day 1, you've got 10 things to do. Day 2, you got 10 things to do. Like this has been a proven system that we see other games using, and we don't really have it in our game, so we really like to add that as well because we think it could be great for these new players, especially to teach them how to use and get familiar with all the kind of more advanced progression mechanics that we have in the game. So, and then the final point here is all the starter passes that we added in the game, especially the free versions, have performed extremely well. Uh, we were looking at the data for that earlier today, and it's just players are eating them up. So this has been really good for making sure that the new players have exactly what they need to overcome some of those early game boundaries and to help them get faster into a more competitive state so that we have more gameplay variety, especially in the competitive scene. Next slide, please. You want to give it a shot? All right, cool. So progression and economy. I kind of mentioned this a little bit at the top. Um, like there's been a lot of scenes work going on, rebalancing all the numbers and investigating all our loops and flows and where does X resource come from and where does it go. Figuring out where all the pain points are during player progression cycles, like, hey, I'm commander level 30, but I can only afford to get resonance level 20. Like, where are these gaps coming from? How can we make up for these gaps? And you can see, like, one of the first big examples we think of, like, trying to address, like, long-standing feedback from you guys as well, uh, is changing the way that our login rewards work where now login rewards are dependent on where you are in your progression path. So the further you are in the game, the more rewards you get and the different types of rewards you get, I believe, as well. So we think this has been great. We've heard positive feedback on it so far, and you can expect more in this kind of vein as we move further into the cycle. Next slide. We're also looking to create a new campaign for old. So this I believe. We have labs time of the game. I have kind of like, as you can see here in these examples, like sign or specific classes, maybe even some specific shops for them. But it's all built around the idea of these people caught up as much as possible, as fast as possible. Um, yeah, so if you have friends out there that have lapsed and you would like to bring it back in, then we will have a campaign ready for them real soon. Slide, please. All right. And kind of final point here. I believe I brought this up maybe like a couple of weeks ago in Slack, so or in Discord. So many of you probably missed it, but we are moving into a seasonal structure for live ops. Uh, and you will have seen our first iteration of that with Vargos, where it was like long, followed by this one right now with like Valor Season 1, which is going to be a month long. We're moving into this like 4-week cadence with a break week in between where all of our events will be structured around like these month-long cycles essentially, and you can expect all of our brand new contents and all of our holiday events and all of our new guardians and content and big drops to be built around this cadence that we've put together. So continue to give us our feedback. There's channels, I believe, down here in the feedback section. Holidays, it's a pretty for seasons essentially. Just let us know your thoughts on the seasonal structure, whether or not you like the way that things are structured within there, cadence-wise. Um, just let us know, and we have time and for us to go back and make iterations if you guys believe something could be improved. All right, AMA time. next slide. Okay. Yeah, take it away.
Okay, I had to unmute on the recording as well. Feel free to jump in, whoever, as I'm kind of going through these. So first one's first, official global leaderboards outside of the game. I've kind of answered this question a few times. It's something that is very slowly progressing on my personal time, but unfortunately we have a lot of things to handle. So it's kind of fallen down on the list of things that need to be done. There's a couple things that we can do here, and I'm sure we'll have a little bit of a longer discussion because I know this is something that folks feel pretty strongly about. Um, but that's kind of where things are at. As a community shout out, our upstanding member Absurd has actually created a website that he's more than welcome to share a link to here. Check it out. He's got some leaderboard results that he collates every week, and he's also building out a wiki that has some pretty neat stuff on it. So check that out. Show him some love and support, and in the meantime, we'll see what we can do on our end as well. Um, all right, next one. Ancient artifacts. Basically, large guilds have more or less capped out guild artifacts and need more things to do with materials and guild boss. Um, so I don't know. I think Josiah, you might be better suited to answer this one.
Yep. So there are two possibilities here. One is ancient artifacts. Well, it'll probably get renamed. Ancient artifact, quite to just be totally honest, was a placeholder title back when we first created like the guild crafting like menus in game, uh, with the intention of it being kind of like something that we would flesh out deeper when guild crafting got further iterated upon. So there's two possibilities here. The first possibility is that we take that menu and it gets turned into something with our plans for guild crafting, kind of like V2, V1, whatever we want to call it. There is a design for it. It is just not in development. So it's kind of like on the low priority side of things. That's the first option. The second option is we just remove that menu out of the out of the screen so that people don't try to click on ancient artifacts all the time, which we might do anyways. So it kind of sucks to have a button in game that doesn't lead you anywhere. So yeah.
All right. Guild crafting V1. Do you want to just
Yeah,
handle
I guess
the
building
next
off what I
couple?
was just talking about a second
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah. So guild crafting V1. The short answer there is that it was a lot of work. We had tons of designs for how to refactor like the potion system, how to make potions more appealing, how to change how guild contributions worked, how people work together to create these boxes, yada yada yada. Like you guys gave us a ton of feedback about what you liked and didn't like, and some of these things revealed kind of like core foundational problems with the design that we would need to just like rip it out from the bare bones of it and rebuild it. Uh, so obviously, because of the workload that was going to look like to do, we decided to like bump it down in priority and tackle some of the things that we would be able to actually complete within the next couple of months. Which is why you saw things like Radiance V2 get prioritized because we needed like the example. Yeah, so like it's still there. The design is still there. They were working on it as recently as like a couple of weeks ago. Um, and yeah, there's quite a few ideas floating around for it, but we probably won't be returning to that in the next month or two, I would say. Which you'll hear more about that actually at the end of this when we talk about roadmaps.
All right. I feel like Pets V2 and Gen 2 also falls into that. Is there anything extra that you want to add there?
Yeah, pretty much kind of the same thing of
Okay.
like when I'll talk more about the roadmaps at the end, and yeah, they're all kind of in the same vein of like they needed more work and we needed to focus on other things.
Makes sense. All right, so jumping into the next one, minting karma vouchers. So this is something that I have also shared that we'd like to do, and as far as I'm aware, actually, it should be ready to go. So it's just a question of checking in with our partner, MindLetter, and validating that it is good to go, getting a quick test in, and launching it. So it's very close. Mostly just one of those things that got lost in the shuffle as we're figuring other things out. But it should be very, very close. But continuing balancing other guardians. Naturally, this is something that I think all of us at some point have said that we want to do, and I feel like we've shown that we uh, do with the various guardian balance patches that we've dropped. Usually at least a couple updates a month. I think usually even more frequently than that. But it's absolutely something that we're actively monitoring, and we would like to, at the very least, maintain, if not increase, the rate at which we make balance changes. Do want to highlight though, as we balance things, that doesn't necessarily just mean buffs. Obviously, we'd like to focus on buffs because those are much more fun, but do keep in mind that that doesn't necessarily mean that's all that will happen. Um, Next one,
I
awareness.
do want to say when it comes to balance, like we specifically work with a contracting studio that has people on their team that have level 100 accounts in their real account, not just their test accounts. And these people write a report for us every week about what guardians need to go up and what guardians need to go down. And we have like a bucket list of like over like I think sitting right now we have like maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen guardians just like with this should be changed about them. And it's just a matter of like taking that feedback and actioning on it and then testing on it. But because testing balance is like a time intensive process on our side, it happens slowly. So we have kind of like a goal internally on our side, design wise, to like try as hard as possible to get 2 Guardian updates out every release. And we've been hit or miss on that. Sometimes we get 2, sometimes we get more than 2, sometimes we get 0. But that's essentially our goal, and that goal isn't going to change.
Perfect. All right, next one. Awareness and concern about guild boss competitive balance between large and small guilds. Yes, this is something that we've talked about internally quite a bit, both from the aspect of making sure that small guilds, and this is kind of what I touched on when talking about guild progression and guild economic balance previously. Um, Obviously, the closer things are and the more of a competition it is, the more fun it is. It's part of the whole point of competition. So we're definitely looking at it, um, trying to walk that line of not completely devaluing the the large guilds, but making sure small guilds are viable. So it's something that we're looking at. There's a variety of ways that we've talked about addressing this. Not anything specific planned, but we are aware, and it is something that we would like to address in the future. Let's see. Next one is going to be Web2 currency shops, so they make sense. Yeah. Yeah. So this is something that we've discussed at length. Brambo, who unfortunately is having mic difficulties, has done a significant amount of work in understanding the actual values of various resources in game. And we've been working on slowly making our way through um, the shop content, both in the exchange shop, the Web2 currency shops, and in the IAP shops to ensure stuff makes sense. So this is an ongoing thing that we're working through. Is I guess the short answer on that one. Um, Improvements to boss rush. The removal of dread powers simplified things quite a bit. Yep, that's valid. There are some updates that have been discussed and maybe partially designed for boss rush. I'm not sure where those are scheduled, but I think some of the things that Josiah will be showing you later in the slideshow will kind of help ground that. So I'll just leave it vague and like that. And then as far as gold for Valor Season 0, I think, Josiah, that's going to be one for you, maybe? Or should I take a swing?
Choose to use gold for Valor 0. Because the whole, so when we started the design process for the Valor system, back then, which would have been like, I think 2 months ago at this point, looking at the data, it was just all upward trends for late game. Like if you were commander level 99 to 100, like the chart was just you like bottom left, top right going up and astronomically. It was just increasing over and over and over and over and over again. And so like the goal with Valor was just let's create a system that gives these players something to spend the stuff on that they're earning, and like they'll get something valuable out of it, combat capable stats and some rewards and stuff like that. So obviously we shoved gold in there. That gold is that sucks. I don't want to spend my gold. So what did I do? I took it from 50 million to 5. Oh, it's like 5 million this season. And if you tell me 5 million sucks this season, then I will probably change it to something else next season. So just let me know.
Awesome. All right. So we're still got a bunch more questions. We can jump to the next slide, I think. Let's see, upcoming content for guilds is being prioritized. Specifically the prioritization, again, if you stick around for just another couple minutes, you'll have a pretty nice answer to that. But as we've kind of discussed, specifically content-wise, GVG obviously is the big one. I think that'll um, be something that folks can enjoy for a pretty long time. And then more, less content-wise, I guess, the progression systems that we talked about, as well as the economics of it, so that the content that is there is more accessible for more players. Um, Next slide, please. Roadmap, I will defer again because it'll all make sense here in a couple minutes. Next slide, please. When can we see more early adopters content and leaderboards? So I think the original question here was regarding visuals, utility, and leaderboards. So the visuals and utility I'll address by saying you may have noticed the differences with Hana and Floriel. It's something that we're reviewing for all Guardians. The pace at which we go through those obviously is going to take a pretty significant amount of time just because our roster is quite large, but it's something that we don't want to do just for early adopters. We want to be able to refresh Guardians in any series as far as visuals look. Utility-wise, early adopters Guardians have probably been some of the highest concentration of balance improvements that we've released recently. I don't see any reason why that sort of activity would cease. So definitely keep an eye on future balance changes coming in there. And then as far as leaderboards, we've actually done things in this vein with the World Champ special event. I know that folks enjoy that one a decent amount and like the additional challenge of utilization there. I don't really see why we wouldn't continue to do activities like that in the near future.
Yep, agreed.
Next slide, please. Perfect. Can we get more content beyond teams of five? Short answer, yes. Long answer, obviously there's the 15v15 mode that we're trialing now. That'll get its own competitive spotlight in the future as well. And a lot of this is foundational work for Guild vs. Guild, which will have some aspect of this and some aspects that are new, and will definitely fit into this framework of more than just teams of five. Did you have anything else that you wanted to throw in here, Jose?
I mean, you guys mentioned that it would be cool if it was like more than 5v5 in a battle. If it was like 10v10 or 15v15 in a single battle. That's pretty cool. I'm sure if we asked MindLoader to prototype that battle that ran at like 5. So I don't think it's in the near term future as a possibility because it would require a lot of dev effort, I think. But I do really like that idea, and I am not against the idea of maybe like, I wonder if we can get a 6 feet in there or something like that. I don't know. We'll experiment.
Nice. All right. Next slide, please. Achievements and achievement chests. I believe currently folks are hitting and surpassing the cap for achievements at, what is it, at 1500, I believe. So we are aware of the cap, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I believe we'll end up extending that in the future. I'm not sure quite where or when, but we're definitely keeping an eye on it. Next slide, please. When will we see more quests for adventure mode or daily weekly quests? We had a pretty good discussion on this actually in the last couple weeks. So I don't know, Josiah, do you want to share any more details about that one on what's coming up?
This kind of falls in the same vein for me as like the achievements aspect of
Mm.
like, is there going to be more, completionist content related to these modes? And the answer is maybe. Again, it's pretty easy to do. It's just a matter of like, am I going to dedicate time to do this over creating something else? So like, it's on the list. It's just, it'll come down to whether or not we have time.
Makes sense. All right, next slide. Teams plan to address the fact that guilds are working together to dominate solo leaderboards.
So I kind of feel like I need to talk to the team today, actually. Uh, I think we can test this in 15 versus 15, possibly as early as next week. We can hit the refresh button off the matchmaking screen. So when you get 3 people you need to fight, you have to fight those 3 people for 3 new people to pop up on the screen. Um, and I think that could just be a really quick, easy test to see how that works. And yeah, we'll see what you guys think about that.
Cool, cool. Next slide,
And if it
please.
works out,
Oh,
then we can think about bringing it in other things. Because like I know you guys really want this in base arena, um, but just to be totally honest with you, I think I would like to hold off making changes there until GVG is either released or very close to being released. Because I would like for guilds to have a place where they can collaborate competitively before we remove the ability for them to create collaboratively compete like all together by taking out of it arena, for example. So I would like there to be at least one place where they can do it.
sounds good. Next slide. Sweet. All right, so I think we have a couple minutes. Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead and talk about this one before we jump into the rest
All
of the
right.
questions.
So we're going to we can drop the link probably here in chat, but also we'll share the slides, I think, after this in some form as well. But here is a link to a public Trello board where you can follow along with working on. You can see our backlog of tasks. You can see what we are working on for live ops. You can see what we have approved to work on but haven't started yet. You can see what is in development. You can see what has been released, and you can see what is like a forever task, something that will never stop, that we'll always be working in the background. So I created this because you guys are always asking, like, what are you doing? Are you working on this? Have you thought about this? Like, here's a Trello board. I'm going to update this once a week um, so that guys can see like what's in progress, what's not in progress. Yeah, just wanted to share that with you, and you can see exactly what our quote unquote roadmap is going to look like from a task by task perspective. Let me know what you think.
Sweet. I'm trying to get the link online, but it might be something that I just share afterwards. Okay, we are at time. I'm not sure. I know that I think pretty much all of us have a couple meetings after this. So if there's anybody else that has any closing thoughts, um, now is the time, and I'm going to run through my community questions list real quick to see if there's anything else that I can fire off before we call it. Okay. Gonna take that as a no. So I'll share the Trello board link in general, or maybe pin it somewhere actually with you guys, and probably put together a chat summary for the other questions, just because we are at time. I think we do have answers to at least 90% of what was asked in that channel. I know that you guys really emphasized wanting to hear answers to everything, so I'm gonna try and get that for you guys. But as far as the town hall, I think that concludes us. So really appreciate everybody joining us, sticking around, and looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts. We'll try to get the recording posted as soon as possible, um, but look for that in the next couple of days as well for those of you that missed it. And yeah, thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time.